E.N.D here. The Lost Caverns of Ixalan gave us a new mechanic representing an important part of the exploration, finding cool stuff and then build better stuff from what you find. Craft. Craft is a new way to transform artifacts by paying a mana cost and exiling permanents you control from the battlefield and or from your graveyard with specified qualities. Artifacts can transform into more powerful permanents. As with the previous transforming double face cards, you always cast the front face of these cards. That's the face with the craft ability, and they always enter with that face up unless something specifically says they enter transformed, such as the craft ability. To activate a craft ability, you need three things: exile the permanent with craft, exile the specified materials, and pay some mana cost. The materials are other permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard and are described in the craft ability itself. For example, craft with artifact means exile an artifact you control other than the permanent with craft, or exile an artifact card from your graveyard. As the craft ability resolves, the card with craft will return to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. If a craft ability requires multiple materials, you can exile some from among permanents you control and the rest from among in your graveyard. But how do you play craft? Let's build our battlefield. Let's put a treasure in play. Let's put an artifact creature in play, an ornithopter. Let's put them there. And let's put an artifact, a haywire mite, in my graveyard. And I'm going to cast Idol of the Deep King, 2 and 1 red. Artifact with flesh enters the battlefield. It deals 2 damage to any target. Craft with artifact for 2 and 1 red. Any spell, any card with craft, it's a normal spell and normal card. Therefore, when casted, it will go on the stack. There can be a counter, there can be a response, nothing happens, and it will hit the battlefield. Idol of the Deep King has craft with artifact for 2 and 1 red, meaning that to craft it, to transform it, I will need to pay 2 and 1 red, plus I also require to exile another artifact I control or an artifact in my graveyard. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay the 2 and 1 red, exile Idol of the Deep King and haywire mite that is residing in my graveyard. I think for the time being better save the treasure token and the ornithopter. Idol of the Deep King will transform and return to the battlefield as Sovereign Macolith. Enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equip creature get +2, +0, equip for 2. And I'm going to equip it in my ornithopter. Some notes: you always cast the front face of these cards, the face where the craft ability is, and they will always enter the battlefield with that face up, unless something specifically says they enter transforms, like in the case of the craft ability itself. If the craft ability requires multiple materials, you can always have the option to exile some from among permanents you control, and the rest from among cards in your graveyard. The Enigma Jewel, an artifact with a particular craft ability. To craft the Enigma Jewel, the required materials are 4 or more non-lands with activated abilities, but you have options. You could exile 4 non-land permanents you control with activated abilities, or exile 2 permanents you control and 2 non-land cards from your graveyard, or you could exile 4 non-land cards from your graveyard, or 1 and 3, or 1 and 4, or 2 and 5, and so on and so on. If you're exiling permanents you control to craft, keep in mind that you can exile tokens, but be careful. Sometimes the back faces will have abilities that refer to the exile cards used to craft those faces. Once you exile a token, it ceases to exist, so any ability looking for a card in exile won't see tokens that aren't there. Sacrificing tokens may make your passage to the locus of alignment easier, but it will have fewer abilities once you get there. So this is how you play craft. Leave me a comment. What do you think about this new mechanic? I think it's one of the weakest, but who knows, maybe this will break the meta. As always, subscription button is here. Subscribe to my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.